It's 5 a.m. Let's get this day started. Now, I don't normally wake up at 5 a.m., but got a client call at 6 a.m., so time to get moving. I'm gonna get a protein shake going, that way we start this day off right. What's going on, Ahmed? Let's get partying. All right, 3 patients done. It is just after 9, time to train. Now today I've got a special workout where I'm gonna be doing both running and lifting. More often than not, I try to split those because in the vast majority of cases, you're gonna get better outcomes out of each respectively by not having them interfere with one another. However, today is a low intensity day for both lifting and running, so that it allows me to get in both without it really pushing each other's boundaries. I'm gonna be doing a more technical weightlifting session with some accessories, and I'm gonna be doing a low intensity, more technical running day. So it's a good way that you can combine both into one session without having them compete. You know, if you try to do a really heavy lifting session and then you have to do some running, you're probably gonna get a limitation on your running performance if you do it afterwards, after the lifting. And on the flip side, if you run first and then lift heavy, you're gonna have a big interference where you're not gonna be able to utilize your legs to the full degree and you're gonna have lower numbers. So in most cases, try to split them up so you can push your running to the best abilities, and you can also do that with your lifting. I'll share a few more videos on that in the coming weeks. All right, let's get some pre-workout in. We got some pulse on the agenda for today. This is a pre-workout that I take regularly. It's got basically everything that you need from a pre-workout standpoint to maximize performance. You know, one of the key things that I'm looking for in my pre-workout supplements is evidence-based ingredients that are gonna actually allow me to perform better. So generally that's gonna be things like beta-alanine for improved endurance events, citrulline malate for an improved pump, helping with some recovery, caffeine because it's gonna boost everything. And after that, you're starting to get some of the more smaller details, but those are the 3 main ones that you definitely want to get. Right now I'm working on a drill called a hang tall power snatch. This is to help to emphasize getting a full extension in the lift and a speedy turnover. Generally a lot of individuals in the snatch will cut their pull short, or they just are really slow on transitioning onto the bar. So this drill is a great option to really emphasize that. So just got a few sets of it. Now I'm gonna transition into my full snatch variation. All right, so I'm doing a snatch high pull into a hang snatch. And this is to work on a couple of details. Number 1, I want to enforce that drill that I was just working on previously, but high pull, so encouraging that I can finish my extension. And then because of the hang aspect, you don't have as long to generate the force, so you gotta be faster under the bar. So reinforcing the same sort of mechanics earlier, just in a more complex, faster movement. Now, we're gonna move on to some jerk technique work. This is gonna be a press to jerk, so the goal here is to work on speed under the bar. All right, all done the weightlifting movements. It took just under 30 minutes. Now I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna be doing some accessories. So today, just got 2 movements. I got jumping and pull-ups. The goal with the jumping is to work on some rate of force development, some higher speed contractions, and then I'm gonna transition into the pull-ups in between. The goal with the pull-ups is to build a nice wide back, folks. So, gonna get those done, and then we can move on to running. So this jumping variation I call a reverse box jump, and it's where we basically combine a depth jump with a box jump. My goal here is to have a quick reaction off the ground, so I'm not having a long ground contact time. And then the second part is I want to load it up from coming off the box and then going back on. So this increases the relative demand on a plyometric aspect. So I'm trying to really focus on stiffness in this. So landing and quickly coming off the ground. So not hanging around there very long. This is really beneficial for jumping as well as transferring over to running. So let's do some pull-ups. All right, I gotta bust out 2 more sets, then it'll be time for running. All right, just finished up my lifting, time to move on to running. Today's game plan for running is I'm gonna be doing 30 minutes of zone 3 work. So this is the aerobic zone, somewhere between around 70 and 80% heart rate max or around an RPE 7. With that, I'm gonna be emphasizing trying to maintain good running mechanics. So I'm gonna be jumping on the air runner for this. It's gonna help to reinforce my running stride. That way I'm not over striding during running. And just with the curved aspect of the treadmill, it's phenomenal for that. And we have a guest today. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, barbells baby, let's go.
Broden's joining for some lifting, so I'll be doing some running and be smashing some lifts. Let's get going. Well, training for the day, done. That was a good little session, low intensity today, emphasizing technique work for both running and lifting. I like putting together technique days like this because you minimize the interference effect. Normally when you do a hard run or a heavy lift, they're going to compete with one another. And we want to try to distribute those against each other throughout the week. That way you're not having a competing demand on a given day. If you're able to separate them, for instance, let's say that on Monday, that's going to be a heavy lifting day, and then you also want to do a challenging run. The biggest priority there is choosing which one is most important to you, putting it first, and then having the other one later. Ideally, you separate them by a minimum of 3 hours. With more duration, the better. So if, for instance, you have to go lift in the morning before work, and then go lift in the evening, that would be a very reasonable option. If you find that a common problem many experiences that they don't want to lift early in the morning, even though they prioritize lifting, you can still do your run first thing in the morning. But if you're going to do so, just make sure you keep it even easier because you're going to be somewhat fatigued from that run later in the day when you go to lift. So utilize those tips as to start implementing running and lifting together. I want to be building upon this over time with more and more information about how to combine running and lifting, giving some demonstrations of my own sessions. Now, a little bit of recovery. So post-workout, I take recharge. This is a good option. Gets in creatine, which is a priority post-workout. You can take creatine any time of the day, but post-workout it shows the best absorption. So that's where I prioritize it. A few other additional substrates in here that can be beneficial for enhancing recovery. So I'm gonna take this. That way I'll be ready because I've got an early morning run tomorrow. So let's get this popping. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
And we are Citizen Athletics.